Hey y'all, it's Stephen Van Kampen-Lewis on January 23rd, and there's actually quite a bit of action going on in the greenhouse. So I'm going to break today's video into two segments. One is for the Catasetums, and I want to talk a little bit about what that group of orchids is doing. And it's, long story short, it's blooms and growths. So it's kind of early in the year. It's only the end of January, but I'm seeing lots of new growth, which is really cool. The next video that I'll post probably next weekend is all the blooms that are going on. You can kind of see some of these ones here, and I've already made videos about those nobiliores, but I've got Cerulean nobiliores that are spiking. I've got Ancilea africana that's spiking, and all kinds of cool stuff. So I will post that video here shortly. But let's not so much turn the camera around as just go down to the floor, which is where I keep all of my Catasetums during this time of the year, and kind of give a quick overview of what I'm doing with them, where they're at, and maybe what yours look like. Who knows? All right, we are taking a look at some Polystachya neobenthamia right here, and some Certipodiums, which are in different stages. Some of the Certipodiums aren't really doing a whole lot. Others are actually actively growing, so I'll probably make a new video about them here in the near term. But let's focus on the Catasetums, and rather than looking down on them, I'll try and get down here on their level. And overall, you can see that these guys have mostly dropped their leaves. There's one or two leaves left for the most part. A few plants, or two plants, still have more leaves than that. I'm not really sure what's going on with them. But if we start here, I've kind of broken this into two sections. The section of the plants that I care the most about, and then those guys which honestly will probably get sold off here in the near future. Since I am moving, so I need to downsize my collection quite a bit, but that's probably another video for another day. But basically what I wanted to show you, well, actually before I jump into that, is I always think it's funny that I forget how I guess I just don't really cut the spikes off once they're done, because they're always kind of covered up in the leaves. So at this leafless time of year, you really start to realize that maybe I should be cutting these off more often. So after this video, I think I'll get the clippers and just get some of these dead stems off. But what I wanted to show you is this is the time of year when a lot of these plants are just starting to put out new growth. So these are a bunch of young plants that I got from Sunset Valley Orchids this summer, including a couple of Mormades, Cycnoches cooperi. You guys saw the flowers from that one, and William Green actually has the same sibling of this one. But this is a really cool one. This is Cloacia Grace Dunn by Catasetum Shunkii. Both parents are just amazing. I absolutely love them. I actually made this cross myself probably 4 or 5 years ago, and I recall I was driving around with Fred Clark in Houston, and we were talking about it, and he seemed pretty interested that I'd made that cross. My pod didn't take, and I was kind of sad about that. So when I saw that Fred was offering this cross this summer, man, I was really excited. So I'm super stoked to see what this one looks like. And as you can see, it's starting to wake up. It's one of the early risers, I guess. I would say that about 25 to 35% of my collection has started growing again. So this is that time of year when a lot of people are like, hey, it's January and my flowers, my plants are growing. What is going on? I thought they should be sleeping. And well, that's not necessarily true. These guys have their own schedule, and they wake up whenever they wake up, or as in this case, they don't wake up. So I don't know why this Catasetum Shunkii has decided to hold its leaves. It hasn't seen water in a long time. It bloomed about a month ago, and you can see spider mite damage here on the leaves. That's those blotches. That's classic spider mite damage. And so I've got I've got it kind of separated. I don't see that kind of damage on any of my other plants. So it's not a problem for me. Spider mites typically are only present this time of year, and I think that's just the dry air. Something interesting, this is Catasetum Nomas. And you can see I left a note for myself, stake the spike. But yesterday, literally 24 hours ago, this was a completely shriveled up husk of a plant. I didn't realize, it just kind of escaped my view, and I didn't realize that it had gotten so shriveled. I dunked it in a pond. I've got a little teeny tiny pond outside this greenhouse. And so I just let it sit there, obviously soaking completely all the way through. And 24 hours later, this looks like a healthy plant again. And that kind of rebound is just absolutely amazing. And it goes to show that the roots are not dead. Don't think that your Catasetum roots are completely dead this time of year, because they are not. So, you know, if your temperatures are above 55 degrees at night, which they are here in the greenhouse, you can water them when they get super dehydrated, and it's better to do so that you don't have to do that when the new growth is coming out, putting out new roots. That's the most sensitive time of the year. When those new roots are coming in, you really need to watch out and not let them get wet. So get your plants a running start at the new growth stage. So if they shrivel excessively during dormancy, feel free to give them a good soak. All right, the next one that I really want to show y'all is, this is Catasetum Calcaso, Rare Earth Orchids. I got this from Stephen Moffat. It's received a high-class certificate from the AOS, so I'm super excited to see these blooms. I absolutely love this hybrid. It's such a cool little cross, and all the photos and blooms that I've seen in real life are just really gorgeous. So I'm really excited to see this one in full bloom. So I showed you that Catasetum shunkii that is still holding onto its leaves. This one dumped its leaves and has this little growth coming out. So, you know, same plant, different stages. They may have been imported at different times, and that may explain the reasoning behind the different stages. This is one of my absolute favorites. This is Tenebrosum by Colosum. Real dark flowers, and I made that video of how to pollinate Catasetums, and you can see that these two pods are doing really, really well. They're coming along nicely, right on schedule, and what's more is this plant has decided to wake up as well. It's joining its friends and getting started a little bit early this year. Not a whole lot to report for this one. This is Fong Sing. I got this, of course, as a gift from William Green a couple years ago. I got it awarded. I got an HCC by the AOS on female flowers, which is not very common at all. Another Cycnoches Cooper. This is Coopery, larger one. Still fast asleep, not doing anything. This is Catasetum Pileatum. You can see it started a new growth here. Pileatum is typically an early riser. So this is often the first one that starts to wake up. So I'm kind of surprised that this is waking up at the same time as so many of these other ones. That doesn't usually happen. This is Dragon's Treasure Cardrona. There we go, you can see that. This is the one that I made my very first video about, of the PET method. And I'm going to chop this one and probably just sell it off completely. And I just noticed that I've got a new growth coming out here. So this one is starting to wake up. So this is the perfect time to divide. Divide your plants. And not only divide them, but really start repotting. So, you know, this is another one that's just started to grow. You can see that little growth down there. This is Catasetum Gypsy Soul. And when it comes to repotting, you know, if your new growth is in a spot where the pot can easily handle that season's growth, like that one or like this one, you know, that bulb can easily occupy that space. There's really no reason to repot if the media is good. You know, I think a lot of people start to panic when they see maybe something like this. You can see that that space may or may not really be able to hold that bulb. I'm not going to repot that. That bulb will actually push the other two bulbs a little bit out of the way, and I'll get a good growth here in this pot. So they don't need that much room. There's, again, they don't occupy a whole lot of space. And actually, here's one that is stuck inside the pot here. So what I'll do is, after this video, I'll actually cut this guy out and free that space up. So this is one that I will repot because it is growing at the side of the bulb there, excuse me, at the side of the pot. And it's just time to make that happen. This is actually a really cool one. Sanguinium by Tabulari. I haven't seen the blooms on this. I got this a couple years ago. The grasshoppers keep hitting these stupid spikes, or the stupid grasshoppers keep hitting the spikes and chopping them off before I get to see the flower. So I haven't seen them yet, except for online, and it looks really cool. And of course, a lot of the cloaceas are waking up with their flowers, actually, not so much with their new growths. This is actually Rebecca's daughter, and for such a large plant to get such a measly blooming, I don't really understand what's going on here. So, I don't know. I wish I could explain to you what happened, why it's so pathetic. But I don't know. Oof. But I gotta say that the scent of these guys is always just amazing. I could smell it even before I shoved it under my nose. And here is a Grace Dunn cross, I think. And then this one is really about to put on a show. You can see all these blooms coming down at different stages. In fact, you can see at the end of my finger there is a new spike coming out. So I should have blooms on this one for the next month or so. And it should just send that aroma throughout my greenhouse. So like I said, if your plants are just starting to wake up, this is the best time of the year to really start repotting or divide or sell, trade, do whatever it is you want to do with them, and get prepared for the upcoming growing season. See ya.